American business heroes, there's one question. If your customers are asking themselves this question right now, you could be in serious trouble and you don't even know it. I'm going to reveal what that question is at the end of this video, so stay tuned. Hey, glad to meet you. I'm Dave Bay. I've been an entrepreneur now for over 34 years in multiple businesses. I'm here to help entrepreneurs and small business owners. I've lived it for years, entrepreneurs for decades and generations. I have dealt with every situation and every challenge you can possibly think of. We're gonna blow it up on here, no nonsense advice. Let's build a community of entrepreneurs, of small business owners. We are American business heroes. Let's have a little conversation about your hours of operation. When was the last time you actually even thought about it, right? Because you've been open for so long and it's always been this, and you know, we've never done anything differently. But you know, have you ever stopped to think, maybe I should adjust these business hours? Or maybe you're just getting into business and you have a lot of questions about how do you set those hours? Well, let's talk about a few things here, because I can tell you that nothing sucks worse as a customer than planning a trip to your store, looking forward to going there and getting what I want, making the trip. Sometimes it can be a long trip and you get there and you're closed. Oh, there's nothing more frustrating in the world. So let's talk about a little goofiness here with business hours. In small communities and rural areas, a lot of times businesses will just take it upon themselves to be closed on a certain day or a certain time, and it's not good for the customers and it's not good for business. And who knows, maybe in the large cities they do the same thing as well. But there are businesses that just pick a day of the week. Wednesday, we're going to be closed on Wednesday. Why? You shouldn't be. Or maybe they pick a day of the week and on Tuesday they close an hour earlier than they do the rest of the days of the week. You really have to take a look at this. I mean, does it make sense for you to have shorter business hours on weekdays and weekends? Maybe it does. It's probably not a good idea just to pick one day of the week or maybe just 2 days of the week to have business hours that are different than the other time. Keeping them congruent and the same is the absolute best. So if you're looking at a weekly schedule, if you are in a business that say opens at 10 a.m. and closes at 10 p.m., it's always best to keep that the same 7 days of the week. Now you may say to me that, well, okay, on Saturday and Sunday or on Sunday and Monday, we should close 2 hours early. Okay, well, take a look around. Is that what your competitors do? Then is that what your customers expect? Then you're fine with that. But if not, if you have hours that you don't need to explain, keep those hours. It's always best if you're open and you don't have to advertise the fact that you're closed at a certain time or open at a certain time, but everybody just knows it. That's the best case scenario right there. So in my area, there's a new business that opened not too long ago. They are not paying any attention to their competitors or what their customers want, because I can tell you that I head out of the house and I want to support them because they're new and I'm rooting for them. And I get there and they're closed and all their competitors are open. No, don't do that. Match your competitors. Stay open when they're open, because I want to come and support you. Something else that I see that sometimes business owners do, especially if they just have one staff person or themselves in a business, something will come up and they'll just close. They'll just walk out the door, lock the door, flip the sign over, and leave. And this is so bad for business because, you know, Murphy's Law, when you walk out and you drive away, you're going to have a customer that comes in that expects you to be open, and there's a sign, closed, be back in 30 minutes. At all costs, avoid anything like this. Don't go down that road where you think it's okay just to run out for a few minutes and close the business while you run to the bank or take a couple of errands. Find somebody to help you, even if it's part-time. Let's say that you need to run errands on a daily basis. Well, can you find somebody to come in for an hour just to mind the store while you're gone? That'd be an excellent way to do it. Another thing I wanted to talk about also, restaurants that are smaller, it's not uncommon for them to be closed a couple of days a week. I get that, and you may be in a situation where that's what you have to do. But if there's any way in the world that you can hire additional staff, push sales a little bit more through marketing, it's always a better situation to be open 7 days a week. There are several factors that come into play when you're talking about how many days a week are you open, what hours of the day are you open. So who makes those decisions? Well, you have a say-so, obviously, as a business owner, but then also you have to look at your competition. You have to look at your customers. What do they want? What do they expect? You may be in an area where the local government has some say-so about your hours of operation. And then also you may be a franchisee and your franchisor has some input to those hours as well. So there's a lot of people that can come into play here before you come up with a decision. So let's take a look at this and kind of read through it. If your local government has some say-so and your franchisor has some say-so, if you're in those two categories, well, you really can't do anything, right? Well, wrong, because really when it comes down to it, your franchisor wants you to be successful and your local government hopefully wants you to be successful. So if you're in a situation where you need to change some hours or days, but yet you're running into some boundaries there, reach out to them. Reach out to your franchisor, talk to them and say, hey, there's another hour, there's another time that we really ought to be open or closed, and it makes business sense to do so, and get an answer from them. Sometimes they'll make exceptions. If you're talking to your local government, then you probably need to go to a city meeting or a county meeting and address those concerns to them. And when you do so, have some stats with you. Have some sales numbers that show the reasons why you ought to be open during this particular time. So let me ask you, between your competition and you and your customers, who has the least amount of pull or say-so in this? So would it surprise you to say that you have the least amount of say-so here? It really shouldn't, because you're making your customers happy, and you need to look at your competitors too to see what they're doing. Maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong. All right, let's talk about a little bit of market research here. When do your customers expect you to be open? It's based on the type of business that you have, more than likely. What are their expectations? Maybe you have some conversations with them, talk to them as they come in, and ask them, are we servicing you properly by being open at these times, or do we need to make some changes? Also, if your business is a regional or national chain, there may be some expectations that your customers have because it's always the same across the board. So you need to be aware of that. Are you doing the same as your chain? Also, what about your business category? So if you're in a certain business category, does that category come with hours of operation that most normally are adhered to across the platform? And do your customers know what that is, and they expect you to be open based on your business category? So if your business category is a convenience store, it could be that you're expected to be open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If your business category is in healthcare, it could be also 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, or it could be limited hours. What about your competitors? Should you match them or no? Well, let's take a look at this. If all of your competitors have the same hours, then more than likely you need to match what those hours are. But is there an outlier, somebody that stays open, say, an hour longer? Then take a look at their business. Drive by, see what's going on. Are they busy? Or are they not busy? And if they're not busy, then probably don't match them. But if they are busy, then probably go ahead and match them. Another thing to look at, are you extremely busy right when you open or when you close? Then maybe you should take a look at extending your hours a little bit, opening it up. Now, just the opposite, are you dead in the morning when you open up, and are you dead last hour before you close? It could be that you could trim up some labor by cutting back on your hours if you're not busy. And those are the financial decisions when it comes to being open. You have to look at the numbers. If it financially makes sense to close, maybe you should close. But if it financially makes sense to stay open, or better yet, maybe even do some targeted marketing so you can get customers in the first hour or get them in the last hour of your day. Another thing to be aware of would be holidays. Are you expected to be open during that time or closed? Again, goes back to the competition and the customer. What are they expecting? And for goodness sakes, make sure that you are aware of your business hours across all the social platforms and also Google. Especially if you make any changes or if you have any alterations for some reason, make sure you get on each one of the platforms and update your hours of operation by day so that when people look up your business either on Google or Facebook or any of the social platforms, it's clearly marked there. There's no question. Do you have any comments or questions about business hours? If you have any struggles with business hours, leave your comments and questions below and I'll answer them. Can being closed on a day that maybe you should be open be an advantage? Can you think of any business out there that takes advantage of this? There's a business out there that probably has more business and more sales because they're closed on what could be the busiest day for their business segment. You know who I'm talking about? Here's a hint. Have it yet? Here's another hint. That's right, Chick-fil-A. You probably know that Chick-fil-A is closed on Sundays, and Sunday, of course, is a huge day for fast food restaurants. But because they are a Christian-based organization, they want to be closed on Sunday so everybody can have the time off, take a break. And they probably get maybe even better staff because of that, because their staff has promised, hey, you're never going to have to work on Sunday. There has to be a benefit to that. But because they have a customer base of a lot of different Christians, they really appreciate the fact that they're closed on Sunday. And because of that, they get more business during the week. So it's been a terrific business decision for them to be closed on Sunday. So American Business Heroes, what's the one question that if your customers are asking themselves right now that you could be in serious trouble? Well, it goes like this. Let's have a little story time here. Let's say you're sitting at home and you want to run out and get a candy bar and it's 8 o'clock on a Friday night. And you want to go to the local store, you want to support them, and you look across the family room, say to your wife and say, hey, I want to run out and get a Snickers bar. Do you know if XYZ store is open right now or not? Because let me tell you, if there's any doubt whatsoever, if you're open or closed, your customers are just going to pass you up and go to the store that they know they're open. So you have to review your business hours and take a look. Are they congruent? Are you open when the customers expect you to be open? Do you have any goofy business hours, like on a Wednesday you close an hour early? No, don't. Okay, get the business hours straightened out so you're making your customers happy.